Hi, welcome to the Child Care Aware of Minnesota Legislative Update. I'm Ann McCully, Executive Director of Child Care Aware, and here to give you your update for 2.5 weeks due to a legislative break. So I'll be filling you in on action from March 25th through 27th, and again from April 3rd through 5th. Starting with the week of March 25th, there were 4 bills heard. The first 2 were heard in the House Children and Families Committee. House File 3699, Representative Lee. This would be improvement grant funding to continue the child care revitalization grant. The facility revitalization grants First Children's Finance has been doing. That was laid over for consideration. Also, House File 3826, carried by Representative Keeler. This would provide more funding to support access to the Child Development Associate or CDA certificate. That also was laid over for consideration. In the Senate, the Committee on Health and Human Services took up the companion to that Keeler bill, that's Senate File 4341, carried by Senator Kupek, again to fund CDA access, also laid over for consideration. And finally, the House Workforce Development, Finance and Policy Committee heard a bill, House File 4943, which would provide more funding to Women Venture to do their work with child care providers. So all 4 of these bills were laid over, so they may show up in future omnibus bills. At this point, it would be the Finance Omnibus Bill. After the break, when the legislature came back, starting on April 3rd, we had some more action. First of all, on the House Education Finance Committee side, House File 5237. This is the Governor's Education Bill, and the main component in there touching on early ed would be an expansion of the number of seats for the voluntary pre-K program. There was a savings in the funding that was set aside, the $50 million that was set aside last year. And so there was about $12 million left of that initial allocation. And so this would expand additional seats for the voluntary pre-K program using those unspent dollars. On the Senate side, there were 2 bills heard in the Senate Health and Human Services Committee, Senate File 5082 and Senate File 5133, both carried by Senator Wickland, and both of those are companions to House bills I reported on previously, and they mainly are human services forecast adjustments, meaning that the money that has been set aside needs to be adjusted to match the actual spending. Finally, we had the first of what will increasingly be floor votes on bills. So there was a standalone vote on House File 4176 from Representative Perez Vega, and I've reported on this one before as well. This is the bill that would basically streamline and combine the voluntary pre-K and the School Readiness Plus program, and also create a split in the pool for the Twin Cities funding for those programs, or for now the one program, so that both Minneapolis and St. Paul have an allocated amount. Finally, looking ahead to the coming week, I will remind you all that we will again see a short break this time for the celebration of Eid. And so there will be no activity from 5 p.m. Tuesday, April 9th until noon Thursday, April 11th. But there will be some action on the table. On Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the governor's bill for early childhood programs will be up in the House, House File 5267. So many of the things that are posted on our website as the governor's budget items should be included in that bill. In the Senate, they will be hearing Senate File 4170, carried by Senator Bolden. And this is a bill that's being supported by Transforming Minnesota's Early Childhood Workforce, and would add more funding to the child care and early childhood mental health program. Finally, and Senate File 3737 will be heard also in the Senate HHS Committee, and that is the companion to the Child Care Facility Revitalization Grant money. So we'll be looking forward to the results of those bills on next week's update. Just a reminder that we are chugging along to the end of the next period, which is April 19th, when all of the finance bills need to be put together. So a lot of action again in the next 2 weeks. And don't forget the rescheduled date for Voices for Children, or Advocacy for Children Day, Monday, April 15th. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you next time.